there's one thing that's going to guarantee you to attract more pickleball students into your coaching business, into your club this year, it's case studies and also testimonials, but I'll share the difference in a moment. Why is this? I've built multiple 6 and 7 figure businesses over the years based upon this principle, which is results and transformations matter. In one of my previous videos, I talked about selling transformations, but today I want to give you a marketing strategy which you really want to focus on, which is having more conversations with your students, finding out about their backstory, why they came into pickleball. And the reality is that a lot of people, they don't do this. They don't have these conversations to find out the real, true, deeper emotional reason. Think about shows like X Factor, okay? And they sing these amazing songs, but what happens before they sing the song? They walk on stage and then we hear the backstory, where they've come from, the part of their life that they're not proud of, but they're vulnerable to share. And what that does is it creates an emotional connection. Now, in reality, there are lots of different demographics that are coming into pickleball. I'm working with a client right now and she works with over 50s. We've also got younger players coming in. We've got people who have mental health challenges that want to transform their lives and be more connected. And so it's the variety of the different stories that are really, really important. In this video, I'm going to be sharing 3 different ways that you can actually use these case studies. But let me discuss the difference between a testimonial and a case study. So a testimonial, a bad testimonial may go something like this. I work with Simon. He's a really nice guy. He gives me some good advice and blah, blah, blah. Versus, I was struggling to get my first paid client. I was mid-certification and I worked with Simon for just a few months and he helped me reach the milestone of my first $1,000, my first $5,000. He helped me then to build a community, right, of over 500 students. So it's tangible results. So a poor testimonial is just someone saying this person is great, essentially. A great testimonial is the transformational journey. That could be financial, and in pickleball, it's going to be the emotional milestones that people reach, as well as, for example, someone goes from being shy and not wanting to go on the court, right, maybe depressed, to winning their first tournament and now making loads of friends, right? You notice the difference. So a testimonial is about the praise that someone giving you for the transformation that they've had. Now, I will just say this here, but before I talk about the case study, which is, it's important when you ask for testimonials that you're also framing it about them, not about you. Yes, it's about you, right? It's about you gaining something to help your marketing to bring more people into the world. But when you go to someone and approach them, you want to frame it to say, your story is so impactful. Your story has inspired me. And I'd love the opportunity for you to share that to inspire more people to take up the sport. And what that does is it takes the focus away from your benefit and puts it onto the impact that the testimonial is going to have. So now let's segue from testimonial to case study. So while a testimonial may be kind of short, essentially a case study is a more in-depth process on the journey that talks about the ins and outs of that person's transformation. And so one of the tips in order to take something from a testimonial and turn it into something a bit deeper is to do an interview. So for example, a lot of podcasts, essentially, they are more case studies, right? They're more in-depth stories on the transformation that the person had. So it's more, I want you to think about like this. A newspaper isn't going to share a testimonial, but they will do an interview to find out the deeper transformational story so that they can publish that into an article that's going to inspire their audience. They would want to do that. So really you want to see that, yes, you could get a testimonial, but you want to see and think about yourself essentially as a journalist. And so therefore, tip number 1 is to do an interview with your students when they reach certain milestones. Now, what you want to do is grab a piece of paper and a pen and you want to write down the different milestones, right? So for example, a beginner, they haven't played before, but then they finish their first, game, right? Where they're confident on their own. Then another bigger milestone is them, for example, competing in their first tournament. Another milestone would be winning their first tournament, right? So think about all of the different milestones along the essentially the cycle that the player goes along. All right. Tip number 2 is to basically create the case studies and then share those on social media, but do it in a way where you highlight, for example, the player of the week or the player of the month. You can set up a template in Canva. People recognize that, and then what people are going to do is want to become that, right? If you have a club, for example, and you have lots of different players, people start seeing, oh, they're player of the month. I want to be that. So you can start to gamify your business and have people want to, for example, get that role. Then you want to have a system set up for that, where you start to recognize, oh, that person's gone from here to there, and now that's an opportunity for me to go in and ask them to be interviewed or talk to them about being player of the month. So you're not going to do that, for example, in your first lesson, right? Someone comes in, they have a first lesson, then afterwards you ask them for a testimonial. You want to allow them to go through a journey, and then certain trigger points be at the right time for you to get those. And you need to figure that out for you based upon the different types of programs and things that you offer. So if, for example, like my clients, they have an ascension model where they have a client that comes in and then they, for example, start to do tournaments, they start to do leagues, or maybe you work with people a little bit deeper, not just on the pickleball side, but also life transformation. Or, for example, you're a pickleball coach that also does things, with couples, right? There could be certain milestones. For example, I'll give you a good one. Let's just say that you are in the pickleball space, but your niche is working with, or you have, dating stuff, or you're working with couples. Well, if you have singles coming and they get into a relationship, that is a good example of a milestone being hit, right? They came in single, they started playing pickleball, they met someone, and now they're in a relationship. Now, the testimonial, which then turns into a case study, is going to be the milestone reached of them getting into a relationship, which is going to attract more people who are single. Now, I'm using that as an example. You're probably watching this and you're not in that niche, but it's a good example because it shows you the arc, and it shows you the island of not sad necessarily, but the island of unhappy to the island that they want to be at. So it's up to you to start, and you can do that on a piece of paper and go from left to right, and you can say this is the start of the milestone, and then this is the transformation. For example, I've worked in the personal development space for a long, long time. And I've helped a lot of people quit drinking. My last drink was 2017, right? So from someone going from, and I'm using this as a different example outside of pickleball to give you another frame, which is someone who's been drinking consistently, they've been destroying their body, to now they're sober for a year. That is a really great milestone to talk about. So I've talked about one example of using player of the week, player of the month. I've also talked about doing interviews. And then another one is once you start to collect these, you're going into running ads, which will really blow up your business once you start to do that, using Meta as one example, then you can start to share those different stories. Here's a reality too, which is when someone sees a different demographics, for example, they're older or a different race, the more testimonials that you get, the more that you systemize that in your business, the more people that you're going to attract, because John, for example, versus Stacy as an example, they've got a different energy to them. They're going to come across different on camera, or if you're using pictures, people are going to see them, and people resonate with different people. So you want to start to get your mind into building a system in your business of collecting as many testimonials as you can. I'll give you another example of this. Some of my students in Picklepreneurs, they're pickleball coaches, some of them I have go through a process called Super High Performance. This is a 6-week, every single day process of accountability, meditation. And it's really about getting someone very confident so that they then start to grow their business. So, for example, if someone comes to me and they're a little bit shy, they're a little bit unconfident, yes, I'm going to give them business strategy on pickleball, but I'm going to have them go through Super High Performance. Now, in that process, it's every single day for 6 weeks. I have a certain point where I automate the testimonials. So what you can also start to think about, and that's why over the years, I've grown multiple businesses, 6 and 7 figure businesses, because of understanding the power of testimonials. So I systematize that. There's a certain trigger within my software where they reach a certain point and then they get asked to do it. And I basically automatically get video testimonials, which is awesome. Where did all of this come from? It's come from my early days in the fitness industry, working as a personal trainer when I also had the Lunchbox Diet published by HarperCollins, where in the fitness industry, it's so normal to see the before and after pictures, right? All the time. You see it in the magazines, and it works. Why does it work? Because it's a visual of someone that's overweight to a visual of somebody that is now in shape. They are feeling fit, they're feeling confident, they've got six-pack abs, and that's a staple in the fitness industry. It's not a staple in the pickleball space yet because, in my opinion, the marketing is relatively novice and more content needs to be used. For example, where do we see before and after pictures of people going through a transformation journey with weight loss with pickleball? We're not seeing it yet. We will see it if you start to action some of the stuff I'm sharing in my videos. But even if you're not doing something that's super visual, like for example, you're not helping someone to lose weight, you can still use visuals, you can still use other things to show their visual journey, okay, improving as a player. For example, you could use Canva, right? You could set up a graphic where you have someone on the start of the journey and they're basically progressing, and then you show their progression from beginner through to a tournament, right? And you show where they are on that journey. So this really is all about systems and processes. I'm going to go back to what I said at the start of this video. I guarantee you, okay, if you implement collecting testimonials, developing case studies, which are deeper stories, and then do that consistently and start sharing that consistently, you will be ahead of most, because people will see you as someone that gets results. You're not just coaching pickleball. I will see you in another video. If you enjoyed this, subscribe. And also, if you would like me to coach you and guide you, there's a couple of really cool options. If you go to picklepreneurs.com, there's an application to work with me where I'll work with you if you're a pickleball coach or your pickleball club. And also there's a Picklepreneurs Mastermind, and that is great because there's regular calls, there's Zoom calls, there's a community that you can be part of to support you on your journey. I've got 6 different courts there covering different areas of marketing and sales and automation and ads. And it's really the place to be this year if you're all in on pickleball, if you want challenges, if you want content brainstorming, if you want help and support on specifically something that's gonna that you're struggling with right now, especially to build your confidence. The Picklepreneurs Mastermind is a great place to be. And I will see you in another video very soon to help you grow your pickleball business. Also, who else might enjoy this video? Let them see this. And also comment below with any questions you've got and also suggestions for other videos. And I'll look forward to doing those for you. Take care.